There are moments in life, perhaps late at night when the world is quiet, or in the fleeting stillness of a dawn yet unbroken, when a certain kind of knowing settles upon us. It's not a knowing born of books or lectures, but an intuition, a whisper from the deeper self. It speaks of things we've always suspected, truths we've perhaps glimpsed but quickly turned away from, because their edges are sharp, their implications vast. We live in an age that champions comfort, an era that offers 1,000 distractions to shield us from the raw, unfiltered realities of our existence. Yet, paradoxically, this relentless pursuit of ease often leaves us feeling more adrift, more unfulfilled, more haunted by a quiet sense of disquiet. Have you ever felt that? That subtle, persistent ache of a life not fully lived? A sense that you are caught in a current, swept along by expectations, responsibilities, and the relentless pace of modern existence, without ever truly grasping the rudder of your own ship? If these words resonate, even uncomfortably, then you are in the right place. This journey we are about to embark upon is not intended to be a soothing balm. It is, instead, an offering of bitter medicine, the kind that stings as it goes down, but ultimately, has the power to heal, to cleanse, to awaken. We are here to confront certain truths, truths that our society, and often our own minds, encourage us to ignore. These are not new revelations, they are ancient understandings, echoed through millennia by those who sought to live with wisdom, courage, and integrity. And our primary guides in this exploration will be the Stoic philosophers, thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who penned his meditations amidst the chaos of war and plague, Seneca, the statesman and playwright who wrote eloquently on the art of living and dying, even as he faced political intrigue and eventual execution, and Epictetus, the former slave who rose to become one of antiquity's most influential teachers of moral philosophy, emphasizing the unassailable freedom of the inner self. Stoicism, at its heart, is not a philosophy of detached emotion or grim endurance, as it is often misunderstood. It is a practical, life-affirming guide to navigating the complexities of human existence with resilience, virtue, and a profound sense of inner peace. It teaches us to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot, to accept the inevitable with grace, to find meaning not in external accolades but in the quality of our own character, and to live each day with purpose, as if it were our last. The truths we will explore may, at times, make you uncomfortable. They may challenge your most cherished beliefs or expose the subtle ways in which you might be complicit in your own suffering. You might feel a temptation to turn away, to dismiss these words as too harsh, too demanding. But I implore you to stay. To listen with an open mind and an honest heart. Because true freedom, the kind of freedom that Stoicism champions, is not found in avoiding discomfort, but in facing it, understanding it, and transcending it. The path to a life of meaning, a life without the heavy burden of regret, often leads through the valley of uncomfortable truths. But on the other side of that valley lies a landscape of clarity, strength, and an unshakable sense of purpose. What you are about to hear might, as the original script that inspired this reflection suggested, bring a tear to your eye, not from mere sadness, but from the startling recognition of what has been, what is, and what could be, if only you find the courage to embrace these realities. So, take a deep breath. Settle into this moment. Let go of the distractions that clamor for your attention. And prepare to engage with ideas that have the power, if you allow them, to fundamentally reshape your understanding of yourself and your place in the world. This is not just a video, it is an invitation to a profound internal dialogue, a dialogue that could mark the beginning of a truly transformed life. Let us begin this exploration, not with fear, but with the quiet courage of a seeker ready to face the unvarnished truth. Truth number 1, the tyranny of tomorrow. We procrastinate and forfeit life itself. Tomorrow. How often have we uttered that word, not as a simple marker of time, but as a promise, a deferral, a sanctuary for the actions we are not brave enough to take today? Tomorrow, I'll start that project. Tomorrow, I'll have that difficult conversation. Tomorrow, I'll learn that new skill, begin that workout regimen, chase that dream that whispers to me in quiet moments. We speak of tomorrow as if it were an infinite, guaranteed resource, a vast and patient landscape where all our deferred ambitions will magically find their fruition. But the Stoics, with their characteristic blend of pragmatism and profound insight, understood a starker reality. They knew that this tomorrow we so readily invoke is often a mirage, a convenient fiction that allows us to sidestep the discomfort, the fear, and the effort required by today. This isn't merely about delaying tasks, is it? When we chronically procrastinate on the things that truly matter, we are, in a very real sense, postponing our lives. We are trading the vibrant, tangible present for an uncertain, and often illusory, future. Marcus Aurelius, in the quiet solitude of his tent on the war-torn frontiers of the Roman Empire, wrote a reminder that should send a shiver down the spine of anyone who takes their days for granted: you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. He didn't pen these words to inspire morbid fear, but to ignite a sense of profound urgency, a call to live with intention, now. The knowledge of our mortality, the understanding that our time is finite and uncertain, is not a curse, it is, from a Stoic perspective, one of our most potent motivators. It strips away the trivial, clarifies our priorities, and compels us to ask, am I living in a way that honors the precious, unrepeatable gift of this day? Why, then, do we so consistently fall prey to procrastination? The reasons are manifold, often deeply rooted in our human psychology. We fear failure, that stark confrontation with our limitations. The ego, fragile and protective, would rather bask in the warm glow of potential than risk the cold sting of an imperfect outcome. So, we delay, telling ourselves we're not ready, that we need more time, more information, more skill. We tell ourselves we'll be more inspired, more motivated, more energetic tomorrow. Perfectionism is another cunning accomplice of procrastination. We set impossibly high standards for ourselves, and then, paralyzed by the fear of not meeting them, we fail to begin at all. The blank page remains blank, the business idea remains a notion, the healthier lifestyle remains a distant wish. We forget the Stoic wisdom that progress, not perfection, is the goal. Epictetus taught that we should focus on our actions, our efforts, the things within our control, rather than obsessing over outcomes, which are often subject to forces beyond our influence. A small, imperfect step taken today is infinitely more valuable than a grand, flawless plan deferred indefinitely. Consider the lives of those who have achieved great things, not just in the grand theater of history, but in the quiet dignity of their own personal spheres. Did they wait for a mythical, right moment, when all fears had subsided and all conditions were perfect? Or did they, like the Stoics urged, embrace the present, act in spite of their doubts, and build their legacies one deliberate, often challenging, day at a time? The software developer who launches a world-changing app doesn't wait until every line of code is bug-free and every market condition is favorable. They iterate, they adapt, they learn from their mistakes, but crucially, they begin. The artist who moves the world with their creation doesn't wait for divine inspiration to strike in a perfect, uninterrupted flow. They show up at the easel, the keyboard, the workbench, day after day, even when the muse is silent, practicing their craft, honing their skills. Seneca, in his incisive essay, On the Shortness of Life, delivers a scathing critique of those who live as if they have an endless lease on their existence. He writes, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested." He points out how readily we guard our money and property, yet how profligately we squander our time, the one resource that, once spent, can never be reclaimed. We allow trivialities to consume our hours, we get entangled in pointless anxieties, we drift through our days on autopilot, forgetting that each passing moment is a subtraction from the finite sum of our lives. So, what is the Stoic antidote to this tyranny of tomorrow? It lies in a radical reorientation towards the present, a conscious cultivation of what the Stoics called provoke, attention, mindfulness, vigilance over one's thoughts and actions, here and now. Practical Stoic strategies to conquer procrastination. The dichotomy of control and action. Constantly ask yourself, is this task, this fear, this reason for delay, within my control? If it's the fear of judgment, recognize that others' opinions are outside your control, your effort and integrity are within it. If it's the vastness of the goal, break it down into the smallest possible first step, something you can control and accomplish today. Epictetus would urge you to focus on your volition, your choice to act, not the grand outcome. Define your why with clarity. Procrastination often thrives in the fog of ambiguity. If you don't have a clear, compelling reason to act, the allure of comfort and distraction will always win. Spend time reflecting on why a particular goal matters to you. Connect it to your core values, your vision of a virtuous life. A strong why is a powerful propellant against the inertia of delay. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of his duty as a human being, his role in the cosmic order, as a way to get out of bed and face the day's challenges. Practice premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, for action. While often used to prepare for future misfortunes, this Stoic exercise can also be adapted to combat procrastination. Instead of just fearing failure, vividly imagine the consequences of inaction. What will your life look like in a year, 5 years, or at its end, if you continue to delay what you know you must do? Sometimes, the pain of regret is a more potent motivator than the fear of immediate discomfort. Embrace imperfection, act first, refine later. The Stoics were realists. They understood that human endeavors are rarely flawless. Instead of waiting for perfect conditions or perfect skill, cultivate the habit of starting, even if it's messy. Write that clumsy first draft. Make that awkward first sales call. Do that imperfect first workout. Action creates momentum. Action provides feedback. Action dispels the illusion of perfection. The evening review. At the end of each day, Seneca recommended a period of self-reflection. Ask yourself, what did I accomplish today regarding the things I tend to postpone? Where did I succumb to delay, and why? What can I do differently tomorrow? This isn't about self-flagellation, but about honest, constructive self-assessment, a commitment to ongoing improvement. Memento mori, remember your mortality. Keep the finitude of life at the forefront of your mind. This isn't about being morbid, it's about being realistic. If you knew you only had a limited time left, would you spend it scrolling mindlessly, or would you engage with the things that give your life meaning? Use this awareness as fuel. Every morning, remind yourself that this day is a gift, an unrepeatable opportunity. Think of your life not as an endless expanse, but as a finite series of todays. Each day is a miniature life in itself. What will you do with this one? Will you squander it in the waiting room of tomorrow, or will you step onto the stage of the present and act with the courage, discipline, and purpose that Stoicism calls you to embrace? If you have been waiting for a sign, for permission, for the perfect alignment of stars, let this be it. The only moment you truly possess is this one. The life you dream of is not waiting for you in some distant future. It is forged in the choices you make, the actions you take, right here, right now. Do not let the precious currency of your days slip through your fingers like sand, lost to the siren song of tomorrow. Seize the day, for it is all you truly have. The work is difficult, the path is often uncomfortable, but the alternative, a life lived in the shadow of regret, haunted by the ghosts of unfulfilled potential, is a far heavier burden to bear. Choose action. Choose life. Choose today. Truth number 2, the great deception: we misjudge what truly matters. We navigate our lives like treasure hunters, relentlessly seeking that which we believe will bring us lasting happiness and fulfillment. We chase after wealth, believing it will buy us security and freedom. We pursue status and recognition, hoping they will validate our worth. We accumulate possessions, thinking they will fill an inner void. We meticulously curate our online personas, hungry for the fleeting approval of strangers. Society, with its pervasive narratives of success, constantly reinforces these pursuits, holding them up as the hallmarks of a life well lived. But have you ever paused, truly paused, amidst this frantic chase, and asked yourself, are these the treasures that genuinely enrich the soul? Or are we, as the Stoics would suggest, often mistaking glittering trinkets for true gold? This is the great deception. We invest our precious, finite energy in pursuits that, in the grand scheme of our existence, often matter very little, while neglecting the very things that could bring us profound and enduring contentment. At the end of a long day, when the accolades have faded, the bank balance has been checked, and the latest online diversions have run their course, do you ever feel a persistent emptiness? A sense that, despite all the striving, something fundamental is missing? This is the quiet protest of a soul starved of genuine nourishment, a soul that intuitively knows we are looking for fulfillment in all the wrong places. The Stoic philosophers were masters at dissecting this human tendency. They drew a sharp distinction between what they called externals, things like wealth, health, reputation, pleasure, and pain, and the one thing they believed to be the sole true good, virtue. For the Stoics, virtue encompasses wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. These are not abstract ideals but qualities of the inner self, expressed through our thoughts, intentions, and actions. Externals, the Stoics argued, are indifferent. This doesn't mean they are to be despised or avoided entirely. It's perfectly natural to prefer health over sickness or comfort over hardship. But they are indifferent in the sense that they have no inherent power to make us good or bad, happy or miserable, in the truest sense. Our happiness, our eudaimonia, that deep state of flourishing and well-being, depends not on possessing these externals, but on how we use them, how we respond to their presence or absence, all guided by virtue. Seneca, a man who experienced both immense wealth and the sting of exile, wrote extensively on this. In his Letters from a Stoic, he cautions Lucilius, true happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient, for he that is so wants nothing. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. He wasn't advocating for a life of passive resignation, but for a radical shift in where we locate the source of our contentment, from the fickle, uncontrollable world outside to the steadfast, cultivable realm within. Consider the modern obsession with social media. We pour hours into crafting the perfect image, counting likes, comparing our lives to the curated highlight reels of others. We experience a dopamine rush with each notification, a pang of anxiety when our posts go unnoticed. We are, in essence, outsourcing our self-worth to the unpredictable whims of an algorithm and the fleeting attention of a virtual crowd. Epictetus, with his unyielding focus on the dichotomy of control, would find this baffling. He taught, some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, and, in one word, whatever are not our own actions. The validation we seek online falls squarely into the category of not in our control. By tethering our happiness to it, we condemn ourselves to a roller coaster of emotional highs and lows, forever dependent on external approval. What, then, does truly matter from a Stoic perspective? The quality of our character. Are we striving to be wiser, more just in our dealings with others, more courageous in the face of adversity, more temperate in our desires and reactions? This inner work, this daily cultivation of virtue, is the primary concern. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And our thoughts shape our character. Our actions and intentions, not the outcome, which is often uncertain, but the effort we put forth, the integrity with which we act, the kindness we extend. Are we doing our duty, fulfilling our roles, as a parent, a friend, a citizen, a human being, to the best of our ability, with a good will? Our relationships, built on virtue, not utility. The Stoics valued friendship and community, but they emphasized that true connections are built on shared virtue and mutual respect, not on what we can gain from others or how they make us feel validated. Are our relationships sources of mutual growth and support in living a good life? Our response to fate, a more fatty life, will inevitably bring challenges, losses, and circumstances we did not choose. What matters is not that these things happen, but how we meet them. Do we crumble in bitterness and resentment, or do we strive to find meaning, to learn, to endure with dignity and even a kind of acceptance or love of fate? Living in accordance with nature. For the Stoics, this meant living in accordance with reason, both our own individual capacity for reason and the rational order of the cosmos. It involves understanding our place in the larger whole and acting in a way that is harmonious, purposeful, and beneficial to the human community. Think of those individuals who, in their final moments, reflect on their lives. Do they speak of the promotions they received, the cars they owned, the number of followers they amassed? Or do they, as hospice workers often report, speak of love given and received, of forgiveness, of moments of genuine connection, of dreams pursued, or regretted not pursuing, of a life lived with a sense of purpose, however humbly? The modern world, with its relentless marketing and cultural pressures, is adept at convincing us that our desires are our needs, that fleeting pleasures are synonymous with lasting joy. It encourages us to live on the surface, chasing ephemeral satisfactions. But Stoicism calls us to a deeper, more substantial existence. It invites us to undertake an internal audit, to courageously examine the values that are currently driving our lives and to ask, are these values my own? Or have I unthinkingly absorbed them from the world around me? Do they lead to genuine flourishing, or merely to a more decorated cage? A practical Stoic exercise for realigning priorities. The preferred indifference inventory. Take a piece of paper and divide it into 2 columns. In the first column, list all the things you typically strive for or worry about, e.g., income level, job title, physical appearance, approval from specific people, material possessions. In the second column, for each item, ask yourself, is this ultimately within my complete control? Does this, in itself, define my worth as a human being or guarantee my inner peace? The virtue audit. Now, on a new piece of paper, list the 4 Stoic virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, temperance. Under each, write down one small, concrete action you can take today or this week to cultivate that virtue in your life. For example, wisdom, dedicate 30 minutes to reading a challenging book instead of scrolling social media. Justice, make amends for a past wrong, however small, or speak up for someone being treated unfairly. Courage, take the first step towards a goal you've been avoiding out of fear. Temperance, identify one area where you tend to overindulge: food, screen time, negative thinking, and practice moderation. This is not a one-time exercise but an ongoing practice of reorientation. It's about consciously choosing, day by day, to invest your precious energy not in the endless pursuit of external validation or fleeting pleasures, but in the enduring work of forging an excellent character and living a life of meaning and purpose. The world will continue to shout its deceptive promises of happiness through accumulation and achievement. But if you listen closely to the quieter wisdom of Stoicism, and to the deeper knowing within your own soul, you will begin to discern the path to a more authentic, more resilient, and ultimately, more joyful existence. It is a path that may require you to swim against the current, to redefine success on your own terms, but it is a path that leads not to an empty trophy case, but to a rich and well-lived life. The choice, as always, is yours. What will you deem truly important today? Truth number 3, the chains of yesterday. We are stuck in the past and can't let go. The past. It can be a source of cherished memories, a wellspring of lessons learned. But for many of us, it is also a landscape of ghosts, regrets that haunt our waking hours, past hurts that fester like unhealed wounds, missed opportunities that whisper, if only, in the quiet of the night. We drag the weight of yesterday into the present, allowing its shadows to obscure the light of today and dim the possibilities of tomorrow. You sit there, perhaps even now, replaying old scenes in your mind, dissecting past conversations, reliving failures, nursing ancient grievances. And in doing so, what are you achieving? Are you changing what happened? Are you healing the wounds? Or are you, as the Stoics would suggest, merely re-inflicting the pain upon yourself, binding yourself with chains of your own forging? You need to hear this, and hear it clearly. The past, in its unalterable finality, no longer truly matters in the way you allow it to. It exists only as memory, as an interpretation within your mind. And while the events themselves are fixed, your relationship to them, the power you grant them over your present well-being, is entirely within your control. Marcus Aurelius, a man who bore the immense weight of an empire and personal losses, constantly reminded himself to focus on the present moment. He wrote, "Forget everything else. Keep hold of this alone and remember it, each of us lives only now, this brief instant. The rest has been lived already, or is impossible to see." This isn't a call for amnesia, but a call for liberation. To live only now, in this brief instant, is to refuse to allow the specter of what was to dictate what is and what can be. Think about the energy you expend on rumination. The hours lost to replaying arguments, the emotional toll of revisiting betrayals, the paralysis induced by the fear of repeating past mistakes. It's like trying to drive a car forward while staring intently into the rearview mirror. Not only do you miss the scenery of the present journey, but you are also heading for an inevitable crash. You are allowing a dead and gone reality to steer the course of your living, breathing existence. Does that sound rational? Does that sound like a path to flourishing? Epictetus, with his profound understanding of human psychology, taught that our suffering comes not from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. He famously stated, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." If a past event continues to cause you pain, it is not the event itself, which is over, but your current thoughts, your present judgments, your ongoing narrative about that event that is the source of your suffering. You are, in essence, keeping the wound open through your persistent attention to it. Imagine the past as a teacher. A strict, sometimes harsh, but ultimately valuable teacher. Its lessons are there to be learned, to inform our present choices and guide our future actions. But once the lesson is absorbed, the teacher should be thanked and allowed to depart. To cling to the teacher, to endlessly rehash the lesson in a way that prevents us from moving on to the next class, is to misunderstand the purpose of the teaching. Stoic practices for releasing the grip of the past. Apply the dichotomy of control. This is fundamental. The events of the past are unequivocally outside your control. You cannot change what was said, what was done, or what happened. Wasting emotional and mental energy wishing things were different is, from a Stoic perspective, an exercise in futility and a source of self-inflicted pain. What is within your control? Your current thoughts about the past, your present actions, and your choices moving forward. Shift your focus there. Reframe your narrative, extract the lesson. Instead of viewing past failures or hurts as purely negative, actively seek the lessons they contain. Ask yourself, what did this experience teach me about myself? About others? About the nature of life? How can I use this understanding to make wiser choices now? Seneca advised, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity. For he is not permitted to prove himself." Past difficulties, even painful ones, can be reframed as opportunities for growth and the development of resilience, if we choose to see them that way. Practice cognitive distancing. When old memories or regrets surface, learn to observe them as a detached spectator rather than being consumed by them. Acknowledge the thought or feeling, "Ah, there is that memory of X," or "I am feeling regret about Y," without judgment and without getting entangled in the emotional charge. Remind yourself, this is just a thought, a memory. It is not happening now. I am safe in this present moment. This creates a space between you and the past, reducing its power. Engage in forgiveness, of others and yourself. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person will die. Forgiveness, in the Stoic sense, is not about condoning wrongdoing or forgetting what happened. It is about releasing yourself from the burden of anger and bitterness, for your own peace of mind. This applies equally to forgiving yourself for past mistakes. You acted based on the knowledge and understanding you had at the time. Learn from it, make amends if possible and appropriate, and then let it go. Dwelling in self-blame serves no virtuous purpose. Focus on virtuous action in the present. The most powerful antidote to being stuck in the past is to immerse yourself fully in purposeful action in the present. What can you do now that aligns with your values? How can you contribute, learn, grow, or connect in this moment? When your energy is directed towards building a meaningful present, the past naturally loses its hold. As Marcus Aurelius would say, do your work. Fulfill your duty. Amor fati, love your fate, including your past. This is perhaps the most challenging but also the most liberating Stoic concept regarding the past. It involves not just accepting what has happened, but embracing it as an integral part of the tapestry of your life, the very sequence of events that has led you to who you are today. It means trusting that even the difficult parts have served a purpose, even if that purpose is not immediately clear. This is not a passive resignation but an active affirmation of your entire life story. Consider someone who has overcome profound adversity, perhaps a debilitating injury, a devastating loss, or a period of intense hardship. Those who emerge stronger often share a common trait: they have found a way to integrate their past into their present narrative in a constructive way. They have not forgotten, nor have they remained mired in victimhood. They have transformed their pain into purpose, their scars into symbols of resilience. So, I ask you, how much longer will you allow the chains of yesterday to bind your spirit today? How many more precious present moments will you sacrifice at the altar of regret or resentment? The door to the prison of the past is not locked from the outside, it is barred from within, by your own clinging. The Stoics offer you the key: radical acceptance of what cannot be changed, unwavering focus on what can, and the courage to live fully in the only time that truly exists, the now. It requires practice, patience, and a willingness to confront your own internal narratives. But the freedom that lies on the other side, the lightness that comes from setting down those heavy burdens, is immeasurable. Let the past be your teacher, not your jailer. Learn its lessons, honor its role in shaping you, and then, with gratitude and resolve, turn your face towards the present, ready to live it with all the wisdom and courage you possess. Life is indeed flowing, and it calls you to flow with it, unencumbered by the anchors of yesterday. What will you choose to carry forward from this moment? The dead weight of the past, or the empowering lessons that can help you build a better today? Truth number 4, the dance of impermanence. We resist change, though it is life's only constant. Life is a river, a relentless, ever-flowing current of change. From the grand cycles of nature, the turning of seasons, the birth and decay of stars, to the intimate transformations within our own lives, the aging of our bodies, the evolution of relationships, the shifting landscapes of our careers and circumstances, nothing remains static. Everything is in flux. This is not a pessimistic pronouncement but a fundamental observation about the nature of reality, a truth acknowledged by philosophers and sages across cultures and epochs. The ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus, whose ideas deeply influenced Stoicism, famously stated, "Everything flows and nothing abides, everything gives way and nothing stays fixed." And yet, how often do we find ourselves resisting this fundamental truth? We cling to what is familiar, even if it no longer serves us. We crave permanence in a world defined by impermanence. We seek security in structures that are, by their very nature, temporary. We mourn the loss of what was, and we fear the uncertainty of what will be, often forgetting to live fully in the transition that is the present. This resistance to change is a primary source of human suffering. It is like trying to build a dam in the middle of that ever-flowing river with our bare hands, an exhausting, futile, and ultimately heartbreaking endeavor. Why do we resist change so fiercely? Perhaps it is because change forces us out of our comfort zones, those carefully constructed routines and beliefs that provide a semblance of predictability and control. Change introduces the unknown, and the unknown can be frightening. It challenges our sense of identity, asking us, if this circumstance, this relationship, this role is no longer, then who am I? We may fear loss, the loss of youth, of loved ones, of status, of a cherished way of life. And so, we dig in our heels, trying to hold back the inevitable tide. But the Stoics offer a different perspective, a more empowering way to engage with the dance of impermanence. They did not see change as an enemy to be fought, but as an intrinsic aspect of nature, something to be understood, accepted, and even embraced as an opportunity for growth and the exercise of virtue. Marcus Aurelius, contemplating the constant transformations in the universe, wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change, and accustom thyself to consider that the nature of the universe loves nothing so much as to change the things which are, and to make new things like them." He saw change not as a disruption to be lamented, but as the very mechanism through which the cosmos renews itself. And if the universe itself thrives on change, why should we, as integral parts of that universe, expect our own lives to be exempt from this law? The Stoic concept of amor fati, often translated as love of fate, is particularly relevant here. It is not a passive resignation to whatever happens, but an active, courageous embrace of all of life's circumstances, including its inevitable changes and challenges, as if we had chosen them ourselves. It is to say yes to life, in its entirety, with all its unpredictable twists and turns. When we cultivate amor fati, we cease to be victims of circumstance and become instead willing participants in the unfolding drama of our existence. We find a way to work with change, rather than against it. Think of a tree in a storm. The rigid branches that resist the wind are the ones most likely to snap. But the branches that are flexible, that bend and sway with the gusts, are the ones that endure. Stoic resilience is akin to this flexibility. It is not about being immune to the winds of change, but about developing an inner suppleness, a capacity to adapt, to learn, and to find new ways to flourish even when the ground beneath us shifts. Stoic strategies for navigating change. Contemplate impermanence regularly, a form of memento mori. Just as reflecting on our mortality can clarify our priorities, regularly contemplating the impermanent nature of all things can reduce our attachment to them and our fear of their loss. Look around you. Everything you see, everything you possess, everyone you know, is subject to change and eventual passing. This is not to induce sadness, but to foster a deeper appreciation for the present moment and a more realistic perspective on the nature of existence. Focus on your inner citadel. The Stoics emphasize the importance of building an inner citadel, a fortress of virtue, reason, and inner peace that remains unshakable, regardless of external storms. While circumstances change, your character, your principles, your ability to choose your response, these are within your power to cultivate and maintain. Invest your energy in strengthening this inner refuge. Practice the view from above. This is a powerful Stoic meditation technique where you imagine yourself looking down upon your life, your community, the entire world, from a great cosmic height. From this perspective, your personal dramas, your anxieties about change, often shrink in significance. You see yourself as part of a much larger, ever-changing tapestry. This can help to detach from immediate fears and to gain a broader, more accepting view of life's transformations. Identify the opportunities within change. Every change, even those that seem negative initially, carries within it the seeds of new possibilities. The loss of a job can be an opportunity to explore a new career path or to develop new skills. The end of a relationship can be a chance for profound self-discovery and personal growth. Train yourself to ask, what can I learn from this change? How can this situation, unwelcome as it may be, help me to become stronger, wiser, or more compassionate? Anchor yourself in your values. When the external world is in flux, your core values can provide a stable anchor. Remind yourself of what truly matters to you: integrity, kindness, learning, service, etc., and let these principles guide your actions and decisions, regardless of the changing circumstances. Voluntary discomfort. Seneca and other Stoics practice periods of voluntary hardship, sleeping on the floor, eating simple food, wearing plain clothes, not to punish themselves, but to reduce their fear of loss and to prove to themselves that they could endure discomfort. By intentionally exposing yourself to minor, controlled changes or deprivations, you build your resilience and lessen your attachment to specific comforts, making you more adaptable when involuntary changes occur. Consider the story of the samurai whose house burned down, which you may have heard. When his community gathered to console him, expecting to find him in despair, they found him calmly observing the smoldering ruins. When asked how he could be so composed, he reportedly said something to the effect of, "My house is gone. Now I can see the moon more clearly." This isn't about a lack of feeling, but about a profound acceptance of reality and an ability to find a new perspective, a new good, even in the midst of loss. It's about recognizing that when one form passes away, space is created for something new to emerge. Life is change. To resist it is to resist the very essence of living. It is to condemn oneself to a state of constant anxiety and frustration. But to learn to flow with it, to adapt to it, to find the opportunities for growth and virtue within it, this is the path to Stoic tranquility and strength. What changes are you currently resisting in your life? What familiar comforts are you clinging to, perhaps at the cost of your own growth or happiness? And what might happen if you chose, just for today, to loosen your grip, to accept the flow, and to look for the new moon that might be revealed when the old structures crumble? The river of life will continue to flow, whether you fight it or not. The wisdom lies in learning to navigate its currents with skill, courage, and an open heart, ready to embrace the ever-changing landscape of your existence. Truth number 5, the illusion of omnipotence. We try to control things far beyond our reach. We are creatures who crave control. From the moment we are born, we strive to exert our will upon the world, to shape our environment, to influence outcomes, to make things conform to our desires. This innate drive for agency is, in many ways, essential for our survival and progress. Yet, it also harbors the seed of profound suffering when it extends beyond its proper domain, when we fall prey to the illusion of omnipotence and try to control that which lies utterly beyond our reach. How much of your daily anxiety, frustration, and disappointment stems from this fundamental misapplication of effort? You meticulously plan an event, only for a sudden downpour to ruin it. You pour your heart and soul into a relationship, only for the other person to choose a different path. You work tirelessly on a project, only for market forces or a competitor's actions to render it obsolete. You strive to get a specific person to like you, to change their opinion, or to behave in a certain way, only to be met with resistance or indifference. In these moments, how often do you feel a sense of helplessness, of anger, of being wronged by life or by others? The Stoics, with their razor-sharp perception of human nature, identified this struggle for control over the uncontrollable as a core source of our inner turmoil. And their most powerful, most practical, and perhaps most famous teaching directly addresses it, the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, in the very first line of his Enchiridion, or handbook, lays it out with stark clarity: some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. Up to us are opinion, our thoughts and judgments, impulse, our motivations and intentions, desire, aversion, in a word, whatever is our own doing. Not up to us are our body, our property, reputation, office, in a word, whatever is not our own doing. This is not merely an intellectual distinction, it is a fundamental operating principle for a life of tranquility and effectiveness. To internalize the dichotomy of control is to undertake a radical re-engineering of where you invest your mental and emotional energy. It is to consciously withdraw your concern from the vast ocean of things you cannot influence, and to concentrate your efforts with laser-like focus on the small, yet supremely important, island of what you can. Think about the sheer amount of energy wasted in worrying about what others think of us. We craft our words, our appearance, our actions, hoping to elicit approval, admiration, or respect. But can we truly control another person's perceptions? Their biases, their moods, their personal histories all filter what they see and how they judge. To base our self-worth or our peace of mind on something so fickle and external is, from a Stoic standpoint, to build our house on shifting sand. Similarly, consider our obsession with outcomes. We work hard for a promotion, a victory, a desired result. And when it doesn't materialize, despite our best efforts, we feel defeated, perhaps even cheated. But were the outcomes ever fully within our control? Our efforts were. Our dedication was. Our integrity was. But the final result is often a confluence of countless factors, many of them far beyond our individual influence. The Stoic archer does not aim to hit the target as their sole good; their good lies in shooting well, in the skill, the focus, the intention they bring to the act of shooting. Whether the arrow hits the bullseye can be affected by a sudden gust of wind, a faulty arrow, or any number of unforeseen variables. When we fail to distinguish between what is up to us and what is not up to us, we live in a state of perpetual anxiety about the future and constant frustration with the present. We become like Sisyphus, endlessly pushing a boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down, because we are trying to control the very nature of the hill and the boulder. Mastering the dichotomy of control in daily life. The daily audit of concerns, at the start of each day, or whenever you feel overwhelmed by anxiety or frustration, take a moment to list the things that are troubling you. Then, for each item, rigorously ask, is this truly within my complete control? If the answer is no, consciously practice letting go of your attachment to a specific outcome in that area. Redirect your energy towards what aspect of it is within your control, typically, your response, your attitude, your effort. Setting process goals, not just outcome goals. While it's natural to have desired outcomes, balance these with process goals that focus on your actions. Instead of, I must get that promotion, outcome, not fully in your control, try, I will dedicate X hours to improving my skills for this role and perform my current duties with excellence, process, largely within your control. This shifts your focus from the uncontrollable to the controllable, increasing both your effectiveness and your peace of mind. Negative visualization, premeditatio malorum, focused on response. When contemplating potential future challenges, don't just imagine the bad event happening. More importantly, visualize yourself responding to it with stoic virtue, with courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice. Imagine things not going your way, and then rehearse, in your mind, how you would maintain your composure and act in accordance with your principles. This prepares you not to control the event, but to control your reaction to it. Acceptance of reality, amor fati. The dichotomy of control is deeply intertwined with amor fati. Once you recognize that something is outside your control, the next step is to accept that reality, not with bitter resignation, but with a calm and even welcoming attitude. This is how things are. Now, given this reality, what is the most virtuous and rational way for me to proceed? Mindful language. Pay attention to the language you use, both internally and externally. Phrases like, I need this to happen, or, it has to work out this way, often signal an attempt to control the uncontrollable. Replace them with phrases that reflect a focus on your own agency. I will strive for this, I will do my best to achieve this, and accept the outcome. The circle of influence versus circle of concern. Stephen Covey popularized this concept, which has deep Stoic roots. Our circle of concern includes all the things we care about, many of which are outside our control, e.g., global politics, the economy, other people's choices. Our circle of influence includes the things we can actually do something about. Proactive, effective people focus their energy on their circle of influence. This expands their influence over time. Reactive people focus on the circle of concern, which shrinks their influence and leads to feelings of victimhood. Imagine the freedom, the sheer lightness, that comes from releasing the burden of trying to manage the universe. When you stop trying to control the weather, you can focus on choosing the right attire. When you stop trying to control other people's opinions, you can focus on living by your own values. When you stop trying to control outcomes, you can pour all your energy into performing your actions with excellence. This is not a philosophy of passivity. It is a philosophy of focused, intelligent action. It is about recognizing where your true power lies and applying it with precision and wisdom. The world will continue to be unpredictable. People will continue to behave in ways you may not like. Events will unfold that challenge your plans. But if you have mastered the dichotomy of control, you possess an inner compass, an unshakable foundation. You are no longer a leaf tossed about by the winds of circumstance, but a deeply rooted tree, capable of weathering any storm because your strength comes not from controlling the storm, but from controlling your own roots. So, take a moment now. What are you currently trying to control that is, in reality, beyond your reach? What anxieties are you carrying that stem from this illusion of omnipotence? And what would it feel like, truly, to let them go, and to redirect that precious energy towards the cultivation of your own thoughts, your own actions, your own character? The path to tranquility is paved with this discernment. The choice to walk it is yours, every single day. Truth number 6, the ultimate misdirection: we fear death, but not a meaningless life. It is perhaps the most profound paradox of the human condition. We live in pervasive, often unspoken, fear of death, the inevitable end of our physical existence. Yet, with a strange and tragic nonchalance, many of us drift through our days, squandering our precious, finite time on trivialities, distractions, and pursuits that hold no deep or lasting significance. We meticulously plan for our financial futures, for our retirements, for contingencies that may or may not arise. But how many of us meticulously plan to live a life rich in meaning, a life that, when its final chapter is written, will not be a tale of regret and unfulfilled potential? We fear the cessation of life, but do we sufficiently fear a life devoid of purpose, a life unlived? The Stoics were not afraid to look death squarely in the face. Not out of a morbid fascination, but because they understood that a clear-eyed contemplation of our mortality is one of the most powerful catalysts for living a virtuous, meaningful, and urgent life now. The practice of memento mori, remember you will die, was not a call to despair, but an invitation to live more fully, more wisely, more authentically. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by the impermanence of war and disease, frequently reminded himself, do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. This is not a threat, but a profound call to prioritize. If our time is indeed limited and uncertain, then every moment becomes infinitely precious. How, then, can we justify wasting it on anger, on petty grievances, on the mindless accumulation of things that will ultimately turn to dust, or on the endless pursuit of an approval that will vanish when we do? The core aim of Stoic philosophy is eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing or living well. And for the Stoics, flourishing is not found in external circumstances or fleeting pleasures, but in living a life of virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. A life dedicated to these excellences of character is, by its very nature, a meaningful life, regardless of its length or its material accomplishments. The fear, then, should not be of death itself, which is a natural and inevitable process, but of arriving at death's door having failed to truly live, having failed to cultivate our highest human potential. Seneca, in On the Shortness of Life, paints a vivid picture of those who, consumed by busy idleness, reach the end of their days only to realize too late that they have not truly lived at all. He writes, "You will find no one willing to share out his money, but to how many does each of us divide up his life?" People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. We guard our wallets, but we leave the doors to our days wide open for thieves like procrastination, distraction, and meaningless pursuits to plunder our most valuable, non-renewable asset. Consider the things that truly terrify many people about death: the fear of oblivion, the fear of leaving loved ones, the fear of judgment, the fear of the unknown. But underneath many of these fears often lies a deeper, more poignant one: the fear of having wasted one's life, of having missed the chance to become who one could have been, of leaving no meaningful trace. What constitutes a meaningless life, from a Stoic perspective? A life lived without purpose, drifting aimlessly according to whim or external pressure. A life dominated by the pursuit of superficial pleasures, external validation, or material possessions, at the expense of inner growth. A life lived in fear, avoiding challenges and responsibilities that could lead to the development of character. A life lived selfishly, without regard for the common good or our interconnectedness with others. A life lived without self-reflection, on autopilot, unaware of one's own thoughts, values, or potential. If death is the great leveler, the ultimate equalizer, then what truly distinguishes one life from another is not its duration, but its depth, its quality, its alignment with virtue and purpose. An empty life, however long, is a tragedy. A meaningful life, however short, can be a triumph. Stoic practices for living a meaningful life in the face of mortality. Daily memento mori: start or end your day with a brief reflection on your mortality. This isn't to induce sadness, but to sharpen your focus on what truly matters. Ask yourself, if this were my last day, how would I choose to live it? What would I prioritize? What would I let go of? Let the answers guide your actions. Clarify your core values and purpose. Your personal tell us what principles do you want to guide your life? What kind of impact do you want to have, however small? What activities make you feel truly alive and aligned with your deepest self? Regularly revisit and refine your understanding of your personal purpose. For Marcus Aurelius, it was his duty to serve humanity as a just and rational emperor. Focus on virtue in action. Don't just think about being wise, just, courageous, and temperate. Actively look for opportunities to embody these virtues in your daily interactions and decisions. Choose the courageous action over the comfortable one. Choose the just response over the self-serving one. Choose the wise path over the impulsive one. Practice negative visualization with gratitude, while contemplating the loss of things, including your life, can be a part of memento mori. It can also cultivate profound gratitude for what you do have, right now. Imagine your life without certain blessings, your health, your loved ones, your opportunities. This can heighten your appreciation for them and motivate you to engage with them more fully and meaningfully. The evening review of your day. Before sleep, review your day, not with judgment, but with an eye towards learning and growth. Seneca asked himself, "What ailment have I cured today? What fault have I resisted? In what way am I better?" This practice helps to ensure that each day is lived with intention and contributes to the cultivation of a virtuous character. Engage in acts of service, living for the common good. The Stoics believed we are social creatures, meant to live in community and contribute to the welfare of others. Finding ways to serve, to alleviate suffering, to make a positive difference in the lives of others, is a powerful source of meaning. There is a story, perhaps apocryphal, of a man who, upon learning he had only a short time to live, didn't descend into despair. Instead, he began to live with an intensity and kindness he had never before allowed himself. He mended broken relationships, pursued long-dormant passions, and found joy in the simplest things. His final days were not a period of decline, but a vibrant testament to the power of living fully when confronted with the reality of death. Why must we wait for such a diagnosis to awaken to this truth? The fear of death is natural. But it becomes a destructive force when it paralyzes us or distracts us from the more pressing concern, the quality of our living. Stoicism does not offer a promise of immortality, but it offers something far more valuable, a guide to living a life of such meaning, purpose, and virtue that when death does arrive, we can meet it without regret, knowing that we have not wasted the precious gift of our time. So, ask yourself today, am I more afraid of dying, or of never truly having lived? What small step can I take, right now, to infuse my day with more purpose, more virtue, more genuine aliveness? Do not let the fear of the end rob you of the fullness of the journey. Remember you will die, and let that remembrance be the spark that ignites a life truly worth living. Truth number 7, the flight from solitude. We avoid silence and are afraid to face ourselves. Imagine this, you find yourself unexpectedly alone in a quiet room. No phone, no television, no music, no books, no distractions of any kind. Just you, your thoughts, and the enveloping silence. How does that feel? Is it a welcome respite, a chance for peaceful contemplation? Or does a sense of restlessness begin to creep in, an urge to find something, anything, to fill the void, to quiet the mind? If you resonate with the latter, you are far from alone. We live in an age that seems to actively conspire against silence and solitude, an age terrified of the inner landscape that is revealed when the external noise finally ceases. From the moment we awaken to the buzz of notifications, to the constant stream of information and entertainment available at our fingertips, to the societal pressure to be always connected, always engaged, always on, we are conditioned to flee from stillness. We fill our ears with podcasts during our commutes, scroll through social media during breaks, and seek constant interaction, often mistaking busyness for productivity and sociability for genuine connection. But what are we truly running from? The Stoics, like many wisdom traditions before and after them, understood the profound importance of introspection, of turning inward to examine one's own thoughts, judgments, and character. Marcus Aurelius did not write his meditations for an audience, he wrote them for himself, as a private journal, a tool for self-reflection and self-improvement amidst the immense pressures of his imperial duties. He sought refuge not in external distractions, but in the inner citadel of his own mind, a place he could retreat to for clarity and composure. Why, then, are so many of us afraid of this inner encounter? Because in the silence, when the external stimuli fade away, we are left with ourselves, our unfiltered thoughts, our unresolved emotions, our deepest fears and anxieties, our unacknowledged regrets, the questions we have been too busy or too scared to ask. The cacophony of modern life provides a convenient, and often addictive, shield against this internal confrontation. If we are always looking outward, we don't have to look inward. Seneca observed, "Why is it that no one admits his faults? Because he is still in their grip. Only a man who has awakened can report his dream." Silence and solitude are the spaces where we can begin to awaken from the dream of our unexamined lives. It is where we can start to see the faults, the cognitive biases, the emotional patterns, the limiting beliefs that are unconsciously shaping our experience. Without this self-awareness, we remain in their grip, reacting to life rather than responding with intention. Consider the insights gained by those who intentionally seek periods of solitude, writers on retreat, artists in their studios, scientists lost in thought, mystics in meditation. It is often in these moments of quiet contemplation, free from the demands and distractions of the outer world, that breakthroughs occur, creativity flourishes, and profound self-understanding dawns. Silence is not an empty void, it is a fertile ground for the seeds of wisdom to take root and grow. The fear of being alone with our thoughts is, in essence, a fear of the truth about our own imperfections, our vulnerabilities, our unfulfilled longings. It's easier to maintain a curated self-image when we are constantly performing for an external audience. But in the silence, the masks begin to slip. We are confronted with the raw, unedited version of ourselves. And this can be uncomfortable, even painful. Stoic paths to embracing silence and self-reflection. Schedule regular appointments with yourself, treat solitude and silence as important commitments, not as leftover time. Start small, perhaps 10 to 15 minutes a day, where you consciously disconnect from all devices and external demands. Find a quiet space and simply be. The Stoic practice of journaling, as exemplified by Marcus Aurelius, journaling is a powerful tool for self-examination. Use it to explore your thoughts, to analyze your reactions to the day's events, to question your judgments, to remind yourself of your principles. Write for yourself, with complete honesty, without fear of external criticism. Mindful observation of thoughts. When you are in silence, thoughts will inevitably arise. The Stoic approach is not to suppress them or to be swept away by them, but to observe them with a kind of detached curiosity. Notice their content, their emotional charge, their patterns. Ask yourself, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Is it within my control? This practice, similar to mindfulness meditation, helps you to disidentify from your thoughts and to see them as mental events rather than absolute realities. Engage in solitary, reflective activities, take solo walks in nature, engage in a creative hobby by yourself, or simply sit and watch the world go by without the need for conversation or digital input. These activities can provide a gentle entry point into comfortable solitude. The evening review, revisited for self-awareness. Seneca's practice of reviewing the day can be specifically geared towards understanding your inner world. What did I do well today, in terms of my inner responses? Where did I allow my judgments to be disturbed? What fear or anxiety arose, and how did I meet it? What did I learn about my own patterns? Embrace discomfort as a sign of growth. If sitting in silence feels uncomfortable, recognize that this discomfort is often a sign that you are touching upon areas that need attention and healing. Don't flee from it. Lean into it gently, with self-compassion, like an explorer venturing into uncharted territory within your own mind. In a world that equates silence with awkwardness and solitude with loneliness, choosing to embrace these states is a radical act of self-care and self-discovery. It is in the quiet spaces between the noise that we can hear the subtle whispers of our intuition, discern the true desires of our hearts, and cultivate the inner resilience that Stoicism champions. The flight from solitude is ultimately a flight from ourselves. And we can only run for so long before the unexamined life catches up with us, often in the form of burnout, anxiety, or a pervasive sense of meaninglessness. The Stoics invite us to stop running, to turn around, and to bravely, patiently, and compassionately explore the inner landscape. It is there, in the quiet sanctuary of our own minds, that we can find the clarity, the strength, and the peace that the outer world, with all its clamor and distraction, can never truly provide. What are you afraid of discovering if you were to sit in silence with yourself today? And what wisdom, what peace, what untapped potential might be waiting for you in that very silence, if only you dared to listen? The journey inward is the most important journey you will ever take. It begins with the courage to be still. We have journeyed together through 7 uncomfortable, yet profoundly liberating, truths. We've confronted our tendency to procrastinate and forfeit the present for an illusory tomorrow. We've questioned the great deception of what society tells us truly matters, urging a return to Stoic virtue. We've examined the heavy chains of the past and the wisdom of letting go. We've explored the inevitable dance of impermanence and the folly of resisting change. We've unmasked the illusion of omnipotence in trying to control what lies beyond our reach, embracing instead the empowering dichotomy of control. We've pondered the ultimate misdirection of fearing death more than a meaningless life, and finally, we've faced the modern flight from solitude and the profound importance of silent self-reflection. These are not easy lessons. They challenge the very fabric of our habitual ways of thinking and living. They ask us to swim against the current of societal norms and to undertake the often daunting work of internal transformation. The path illuminated by Stoicism is not one of effortless comfort, but one of conscious effort, courageous self-examination, and unwavering commitment to living a life of reason, virtue, and inner freedom. The discomfort you may have felt during this exploration is not a sign to retreat, but an invitation to lean in further. It is the discomfort of a muscle being stretched, of a mind being expanded, of a soul being awakened. True growth rarely happens in the zones of ease. It is forged in the crucible of challenge, in the honest confrontation with our own limitations, and in the courageous embrace of reality, in all its unvarnished complexity. The Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, and others, did not offer these insights as mere intellectual curiosities. They lived them, tested them in the laboratories of their own lives, amidst circumstances far more trying than many of us will ever face: war, plague, political persecution, exile, slavery. Their wisdom is not theoretical, it is earned, distilled from the very essence of human experience. To live a Stoic life in the 21st century does not mean to be devoid of emotion or to endure suffering with a grim face. It means to cultivate an unshakable inner core, an inner citadel of reason and virtue that allows you to navigate the inevitable storms of life with grace, resilience, and unwavering purpose. It means to reclaim your attention from the endless distractions that vie for it, and to direct it towards what truly matters: the quality of your own character, the integrity of your actions, and your contribution to the common good. It means understanding that while you cannot control the events that unfold around you, you always have the power to choose your response. And in that choice lies your ultimate freedom. It means to live each day with the urgency and appreciation that comes from remembering your mortality, not with fear, but with a profound desire to make this one precious life count. It means to find the courage to sit in silence with yourself, to listen to the wisdom that arises from within, and to continuously strive to become a better, wiser, more compassionate human being. This journey of self-mastery is not a destination to be reached, but a path to be walked, day by day, choice by choice, breath by breath. There will be moments of stumbling, moments of doubt, moments when the allure of old habits and comfortable illusions seems strong. In those moments, remember the core principles we have explored. Be patient with yourself, as you would with a friend learning a difficult new skill. And then, with renewed resolve, return to the practice. The unexamined life, as Socrates famously declared, is not worth living. Stoicism provides us with the tools, the framework, and the inspiration to live an examined life, a life of depth, meaning, and enduring fulfillment, not despite its challenges, but often because of them. The truths we've faced today are not meant to leave you in a state of despair, but to empower you with clarity. They are the bitter medicine that can lead to profound healing and authentic strength. The choice, as always, rests with you. Will you allow these insights to be fleeting thoughts, quickly forgotten in the return to daily routine? Or will you take them to heart, integrate them into your being, and allow them to fundamentally reshape the way you live? The world needs more individuals who are not afraid to confront uncomfortable truths, who are committed to cultivating their inner lives, and who strive to live with courage, wisdom, and compassion. It needs more Stoic souls, navigating the complexities of modern existence with an ancient and timeless strength. If this exploration has resonated with you, if it has sparked a desire for deeper understanding and practical application of Stoic principles in your own life, then your journey with BAudio is just beginning. We are committed to providing content that challenges, inspires, and empowers you to live a stronger, fuller, and more awake existence. To continue this journey with us, to ensure you don't miss future deep dives into Stoic wisdom and practical philosophy for modern life, we warmly invite you to subscribe to the BAudio channel. If you found value in this discussion, if a particular truth struck a chord, or if you simply appreciate the commitment to exploring these profound topics, please take a moment to like this video. Your likes help us understand what resonates most with you and also help others who are seeking this kind of content to find it. And finally, we genuinely want to hear from you. Which of these truths did you find most challenging or most illuminating? How do you try to apply Stoic principles in your daily life? What are the biggest obstacles you face? Please leave a comment below. Your insights, your struggles, and your successes are part of this shared human journey, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Thank you for dedicating your time and attention to this profound exploration. May you go forth from this moment with renewed clarity, courage, and a commitment to living a life worthy of your highest potential. Walk well,